we are in New Hyde Park. This is a client that reached out. They have this pond and it's not holding water. It's got some issues, it's leaking. So we are here to pull everything out, put a new liner in, put this all back together and get them up and running. We're getting most of these boulders out. They're to the side. This is just about drained down. There is a frog somewhere hidden in there, maybe more. We just have to find it. There is a goldfish. We found him. What's up? We got to name him. I'm going to come back to him later to figure out a good name for him. Our liner is removed. And they actually used underlayment. I assumed this was gonna have carpet in it, but it has liner. It has a ton of roots. Tony actually just, take a look at that. That is Japanese maple. Here's our perfect example. They said they weren't holding water. Now I just drained it down. I cut the liner off, but that's what they have. Take a look. Completely separated. It actually has 4 bolts that are semi-intact, and the only reason these are intact, it's above water level. This is what happens over time. So this is one where at first I was looking at if we could just do a reattachment of the skimmer with this, but it was so degraded, and they have up there where they have the same issue. It just paid to put a new liner in and we'll start fresh. So I'm going to take all these bolts out and get this cleaned up. We're going to get a new liner in, and then we have to reseal this skimmer, and we have to reseal that biofalls, and then we got to put all the rocks back in. So it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got our liner in. We've got our underlayment. The guys are working. Ricardo and Tony are working on restacking walls in here. So our one downside was we had a pre-cut liner we had set to use. Somehow it was slightly short, so it's not long enough. Mixed with, once we dug out, if you see where Tony's feet are, all the way up actually to this level, that was where the pond stopped when I measured it. The bottom was just filled with sludge and gravel. So we've lost, well, they gained about 18 inches in height down there that the pond grew. But when that happened, that liner for right now goes right below those openings for the bolts. So we're falling short. How do you put a skimmer together when you're putting it back together and it's already existed? Great question. Let's go take a look, because this is a simple procedure, but it's also extremely difficult if you don't do it the correct. We have our existing skimmer right back here. Problem was all the bolts were eaten out and everything was looking pretty crappy. So took the old one off. It was clean. I went around and I popped out all the existing remains of bolts and nuts through there, cleaned out the holes. Then once everything was off, I went and scrubbed all around the faceplate and the skimmer on both sides to make sure they were nice and clean. Why do I use the heavy wire brush? Great question. Use the heavy wire brush because it actually will eat up some of the grit on that faceplate and the skimmer face, so that it'll give a better bond. So this has been in for a while, so all of that area has gotten kind of like covered in algae, and it's kind of gotten to a point where it doesn't make a good bond. By cleaning that all off and then using a heavy wire brush, we kind of make that abrasive again, so our black aquascape silicone will bond better. So we cleaned it all off, scrubbed it down, and then wire brushed it, and then I put another bead back in its place. That thing laid in place, and I put a big thick bead all the way around. I found the center of the hole, poked the hole in the center, cut to 1 corner, cut to 2 corner, cut to 3 corner, cut to 4 corner. Now I was able to see my way right through. I then took what I use as an awl, and I poked holes on all 4 corners of the faceplate and the skimmer on the back, so that once I had that, I was able to know where the corners are. Once I had that all done, I took another big bead of silicone and put that on the backside of this skimmer plate. And once I had that, the faceplate got pushed into place where it belongs. Now it's got a good bead of silicone on both sides of that liner that go to the faceplate as well as the skimmer. Went around, connected those 4 bolts because I already had a hole made. And then I went back and I took my awl and I cut out all the other holes by poking holes through it and put our new bolts in, which are stainless steel. We put big washers on them on both sides and nuts. Tighten those all down. You see how we got the silicone just starting to pop up around the edges. Stopped tightening it so it wasn't too tight and left it. And so now, once that's all done, this will be a skimmer that will function properly and won't leak water. We've got to get a check valve and pump in here in this pond. So I have to look at my paperwork, but they have that adapter there, so we should be able to just screw our check valve piece onto there and drop it in. Hole is emptied out. The underlayment is in, the liner is in. We reconnected the skimmer back together. The biofalls has now been connected back to the liner. The guys have the front 3/4 of this rock. They're now just rocking out this back half and then we'll be done. They're gonna just work their way cleaning around, put the solo fish back in, and the frogs have hopped off. They probably went to next door. There's a pond there, and they'll get this thing running.